Everyone loves airtime. I love airtime, you love airtime, and airtime loves you. But what is the best? There are so many great moments of airtimes on different coasters that it's really hard to narrow it down to just one. But today, that's what I'm going to do. Now, because there are so many, we have to set some ground rules to make my life a little easier. First, it's not singular elements, it's moments, which means you can combine elements just as long as they're back to back. You'll be seeing that in a minute. Second, I cannot use more than one moment on a single coaster. If I could, then this list would get very repetitive very fast. And lastly, I can use coasters that I haven't been on. However, that probably means I'll be a little biased towards the ones that I have been on because I've experienced the full extent of their madness. So yeah, this is that combined moment I was talking about. Now, I haven't experienced this moment, but just by judging off of the POV and what people have been saying, it definitely makes this list. It just looks like pure madness. You take all of these elements at such a rapid pace that you're sure to be flying out of your seat. Now, it is only quick pops, so if you like a little bit of a more sustained experience, this likely won't make your list. Personally, I also enjoy more sustained airtime, which is why this is up for consideration, but I don't think it will be the best. But I still can appreciate the power that these probably have behind them. At the end of the video, I'm going to rank all the moments I talked about individually to ultimately determine which is the number one. But I don't think this will be it. If you like quick pops of strong ejector, then this will probably be your favorite, or at least it'll be up there for you. However, because this is my video, it's my opinion, so I'm gonna say this is probably not gonna be it. But something that is sustained is... These pop up on a lot of B&M hypers, but the ones in specific I'm talking about are the tall ones found on Mako and Candemonium. Now, out of those two, I've only been in Candemonium, but most people say that those two moments are very similar, so I'm just going to be grouping them together. These moments provide some of the most sustained floater out there. You're out of your seat for a good 5 seconds, and you don't get back down until you've bottomed out. This is my favorite moment on Candemonium and my second favorite moment on any B&M hyper I've been on. I'm not usually a huge fan of floater, but these hills hold a special place in my heart. But I still prefer ejector, and since there are hills that provide the same duration of airtime but just ejector, I don't think this will win. Now, Skyrush's camelbacks do the exact same thing as B&M camelbacks, but it's ejector. In specific, I'm talking about the second hill. This provides the most sustained ejector airtime I think I've ever felt, and the minimalistic restraints make you feel really open and exposed. That's not me saying Skyrush's restraints are good, because they're not, but they do let the ride toss you around a bit. There's also a head chopper that's made up of that first hill that also provides great ejector airtime, but personally I prefer the second hill. These hills look really small when you're off and even when you're on ride, but you'll be surprised just how powerful they really are. This is also one of the first elements on this list that I experienced, and it's also one of the strongest, so on my first ride in Skyrush, I legitimately thought I would die. I think this is the most powerful airtime moment on a coaster, but since we're talking about the best overall, not just power, it'll be tough for me to give this the top spot because of those horrible restraints. If you want to hear more in depth about my thoughts on them, then go check my video on the worst restraints. I'll put a link somewhere, it shouldn't be really hard to find. This is probably the most iconic element on the list. Everyone knows about the double camelbacks in El Toro, and if you don't, you're not a real coaster enthusiast. So, do these hills deliver? Do these live up to all of the hype? Yeah, they do. To me, these hills feel like Skyrush's hills if they were wooden. So everything I said about Skyrush's second camelback sort of applies to these hills, except for the restraints. Sustained ejector all the way through and great head choppers. It really is an out-of-this-world experience. This is also directly after El Toro's great first drop, which just so happens to be my favorite first drop in a coaster. I would still consider that a separate moment because it's a completely different type of coaster, but all of these three together create the best sequence of elements on a coaster. But even just the two camelbacks alone hold their own. These have a great shot at the top spot because your legs aren't being murdered by the restraints. Now I'm going to be honest, I haven't been on this, so take what I say kind of with a grain of salt. But I don't understand why people like this so much. It really confuses me how banking this outwards could add so much airtime. Like, we just got a hill that size, it's right there. People say this is the highlight of Steve, but I have no idea how that could be. This airtime hill right here is like just this large, and since usually when things aren't banked, they're better, it leads me to believe that this is the better experience. But people still rave about the Outer Bank. This is also many people's favorite airtime moment, which just adds to my confusion. How could banking the track add airtime? It just changes the direction you're getting airtime in. I'm just gonna tell you guys right now that this is not gonna win. It looks great because it just looks great, but it doesn't look remotely close to the level of any of these others. Twisted Timbers is another ride in this list that I haven't been on, but these remind me a lot of El Toro's Camelbacks, just on a smaller and lesser scale. For that reason, I have to mention them, because if they're even half as strong as El Toro, they should be on here. That's a lie. They should probably be more than half, but you know what I mean. Even though they look really good, I don't think they're the best. Like I just said, they look like a lesser version of El Toro's Camelbacks, and if they are, that automatically makes them second fiddle to El Toro. I'm not talking about great moments of airtime in this video, I'm talking about contenders for the best. That's why all of these moments are so different, because I'm pulling the best of each type. Yeah, I can mention the Outer Bank turnaround in Twisted Timbers, but that's a smaller version of Steel Vengeances, and I don't even think Steel Vengeances looks that good, so it really wouldn't make a whole lot of sense to mention it. But I can't deny these look really good, and if El Toro didn't exist, this would probably be the best sequence of camelbacks on the coaster. Iron Rattler is a coaster filled with incredibly high and incredible lows. This is a coaster that loses a lot of its pacing, and it's due to an interaction with the quarry wall. But there is one redeeming factor, and when I ride this, I'll put up with a snail pace at the top of the quarry wall all day so I can get to the good stuff, and that is the final dive off the quarry. This just looks incredible. Again, I haven't experienced it, so I can't really understand the full extent of the airtime, but just by looking at the POVs and what people say, this definitely has a shot at the top. You also go into the tunnel that is dug into the quarry wall that you were just on top of. That's just so cool. I'm sorry, I don't need a reason to like that. It's just cool. Overall, this looks like one of the best airtime moments in the coaster and is definitely the highlight of the ride. So now that we've gone through all of them, let's rank them and ultimately determine which is best. We talked about 7 different moments, and some definitely look better than others. Keep in mind, I haven't experienced all of them, so this is sort of a prediction, but I'm also going to go off what people have said and my personal experience on the ones that I have been on. So at number 7, we have the Big B&O Hyper Camelbacks. This is one that I have been on, and while I did enjoy them on Candemonium, it just doesn't really stack up against all the other moments. They're definitely good, and they're the highlight of the ride, but Floater just can't compete with Ejector for me. Next, we have a bit of an upset, but it's the Outer Bank on Steel Vengeance. Guys, I don't know why people think this is so amazing. Don't get me wrong, it looks really good, but I don't think it's up there with the rest of these moments. I don't know, maybe I just have to ride it to myself, but to me, it just doesn't look like the best. At 5, we have Twisted Timbers Camelbacks. There's something different about these that's always intrigued me. And the same goes for Twisted Timbers and even just King's Dominion as a whole. Maybe it's the round shape on the camelbacks or the fact that the train seems to haul over all of them every time. I don't know. All I know is it looks really good. Okay, so now this is where we get to the really good stuff. Number 4 is Lightning Rod's Quad Down. This is probably the most unique element on the list, and it takes place going downhill, which always leads to fantastic results. We see that on the Voyage, and especially on the Quad Down Lightning Rod. This moment looks amazing, but the only thing holding it back is the fact that it's quick pops and not sustained. What is sustained, however, is Skyrush's second airtime hill. This is the strongest moment on the ride and provides the strongest airtime out of any of these moments, and nothing will change my mind about that. I mean, unless one actually turns out to be stronger. But anyways, the only reason that this is not higher is the fact that your legs are in agonizing pain for the duration of this moment. If not, this would easily take the top spot, but I can't put it any higher than number 3. The runner-up is the Quarry Dive on Iron Rattler. Yeah, I bet you didn't expect it to make this far, but I got news for you. This looks like one of the best moments of airtime on any coaster, and there are a lot of great ones. I mean, we're looking over a list of them now. Now, if I'm gonna be honest, guys, I think the airtime on this will be great. Not as strong as Skyrush's, but not bad in any means. What really makes this moment for me, and basically the rest of Iron Rattler, is its interaction with the quarry. Diving off the quarry that you've just spent like 15 seconds traversing and then going into the wall itself creates this epic finale on such a grand scale. I cannot express to you how much I love this finale. It looks like probably the best on any coaster. But the great finale cannot dethrone El Toro's double camelbacks. If you like airtime, then El Toro is a match made in heaven for you. It's truly one of the craziest rides on the planet, and most of that insanity comes from the airtime that you get in those first 2 hills. I don't know how they deliver the airtime that they do, because when you look at it, it looks pretty good, Like it'll deliver some solid air, but when you ride it, it's on a whole nother level. Maybe it's the tight pullouts or the curvature, I don't know. It's gotta be something, but regardless, it's incredible and in my opinion, the best airtime moment on any coaster. But what do you guys think? If anyone can explain to me why people love Steve's Outer Bank, then please do so in the comments. I'm actually genuinely curious. Also, if you agree with me, then tell me in the comments below. If you disagree, then also tell me in the comments below. Like I said, I haven't been on a lot of these, so I'm open to any ideas or opinions from people that have. Anyways, that's all for today. The uploads might get a little dicey going forwards, as this is my first video making during the school year. So yeah, those last 2 videos were done on like September 2nd or something. Yeah, that is pretty long. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later.